What we do frequently and repeatedly throughout our lives have a profound effect on who we are and how we react to this world. The food we eat, the air we breathe, our daily routines, and our immediate environment all play a large role in creating our responses and identity in this world. So, when we find ourselves more annoyed, irritated, on edge, just not completely ourselves, the first thing we need to check are those things that we frequently do. Are we eating right? Are we breathing properly? Are we doing things that foster elation and happiness regularly? Are we in an environment that fosters acceptance and growth, or in one that thrives in sorrow and negativity? Today, let us all contemplate on this and together find a way to help each other understand these two questions. Why do we feel irritated and on edge at times? And how do we stop? So, why do we feel irritated and on edge sometimes? And how do we stop? Hey, this is Bipin and welcome to A World Within, where I try to answer the fundamental questions in life with the help of readings, reflections, art, and affirmations. Before we start with the video today, make sure you like this video, share this video with anybody that you think is gonna find value in this content. Make sure you leave me a comment and subscribe to my channel, A World Within, here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that notification bell icon as well so you know when I release my next video. But for now, let's get right on with today's topic. Why do we feel irritated and on edge sometimes? And how do we possibly stop feeling that way? You know, there are those days when you feel your best, right? Where you feel like nothing in the world can stop you. Everything that you want and do, you feel like you can do your best. You can conquer the whole world if you put your mind to it, right? But then there are those days where you feel as if you have no control. You feel lost. You feel not yourself. You feel so irritated and annoyed that even the ticking of the clock bothers you. Even somebody walking next door is gonna drive you up the wall, right? Well, why do we feel that way? Why are there days where we feel like we are not ourselves? Where we feel out of control and out of our own selves? Today, I have put together a list of 10 things that are correlated to irritability and our lack of self-control. And the best thing about these 10 things is that they're all very easy to control. They're all very tangible within our day-to-day practices and somehow very effective. And one of the best things is that if you just tweak just the smallest ritual in your day-to-day life, you could possibly end up creating a massively different result, right? Therefore, today, let's go over these 10 things that are correlated to irritability and how us understanding these 10 things will help us possibly avoid those days where we feel irritable, on edge, and not ourselves. The first thing that seems to be closely related to irritability is quality sleep. When we say quality sleep, it doesn't mean tossing and turning in bed for 8 hours. No, quality sleep means getting the proper rest for your body, for your mind, within whatever time frame that you get to sleep, right? And quality sleep is very essential because without proper rest, both our mind and body will have been overworked and on edge. So if we don't have proper sleep, no matter what else we do, we're already starting our day off on edge. So everything else negative that happens throughout the day keeps piling on top of that lack of quality sleep, and it creates this cycle of irritability and hostility towards our environment because our body is running so low on energy that it has no space for that social respect and social practice that requires for it to be nice to people and everything else, right? So it's gonna be irritable, on edge. So it seems that proper quality sleep is very essential to us feeling ourselves and being in control of what we do and how we do it throughout our day. So definitely need to pay attention to our sleep routine. The second thing that I found that highly correlates to irritability and lack of self-control is the food we eat, especially the amount of sugar we consume. See, sugar is a very interesting substance because it's very good for you in certain ways because it gives you instantaneous energy, instant dopamine release that correlates with happier mood and happier feelings, right? But on the bad side, consumption of too much sugar can create both physical and mental problems, right? Physically, of course, we know of diabetes and the amount of people in the United States and all over the world that suffer from obesity, right? And mentally, sugar can also create instability and this feeling of being irritable and on edge all the time. And why does that happen? Well, like I said before, right? Sugar helps our brain release dopamine, which is the happy hormone that we like. But when we take too much sugar, what happens is that our brain creates more dopamine receptors to compensate for the amount of sugar we're intaking so that it could release more dopamine. However, in the future, we're going to need to consume more sugar to release the same amount of dopamine again. So it creates this cycle of desire for more sugar and more dopamine release that in turn creates more dopamine receptors and makes it harder for us to lose our dependency on sugar, right? So making sure that we only consume a healthy amount of sugar and honestly eat a balanced diet that has all aspects of the food group so that we get enough vitamins and nutrients is very, very important. That actually leads me to my third thing. The third thing that relates closely to irritability and lack of self-control is taking your vitamins and supplements. So, in the modern times, our food isn't as well balanced as it really needs to be. With the advent of technology and the use of genetic modification and everything, we have increased the quantity of food we need to consume to get the same amount of nutrients as we would in the days where we were not using these chemical and scientific methods to enrich our crops, right? And what that creates is this cycle of obesity but malnutrition at the same time, which is such a contradictory and paradoxical thing, right? How does obesity and malnutrition go hand in hand? Well, when you consume too much carbohydrates and fats without enough vitamins and minerals, then your body doesn't have enough of those micronutrients that it needs to function and be able to produce the things it needs to produce to digest our food, give us energy, and keep us going, right? So eating too much food that doesn't provide us enough micronutrients is gonna create obesity but not provide us with the nutrients that we need to function. So it creates malnutrition, right? So it's a vicious cycle when we don't eat food that provides proper nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So in the modern times, in order to compensate our food's lack of vitamins and minerals, we have the options of taking vitamin supplements. And that's one of the things that I started practicing about a year or two ago, and this has created a drastic change in my lifestyle, in my physical and my mental health. So when we take enough vitamins and minerals, what happens is that our body reaches this state of chemical stability. So at least our moods and irritability aren't dependent on the internal chemical of our body, right? Our moods and irritability are only dependent on our external environment, which is a lot more easier to control for us, right? But if our chemical is already in imbalance, then it's gonna be a lot harder to create a positive life. So first, instead of going out and solving our problems, we have to make sure that we're taking the vitamins and getting enough nutrients in our body for it to be able to function well, so we can create the change in our life that we can create. So the next thing on my list is stretching or doing some yoga, right? So when our body is, knotted up, we have some aches and pains all over, and we're not feeling our best, our mind needs to focus on that pain and ache to try and manage the pain so we can try and ignore it throughout the day, right? So what that means is that we're going throughout the day with less energy. So we're automatically already on edge. We have less energy to give to the things that we're doing on a daily basis because our mind is focused somewhere else. That's why we need to make sure that we do stretching or some form of yoga that releases the tension from our body, that releases those aches and knots from our muscles, so that our brain is not constantly occupied by the thoughts of those painful knots or painful muscle, right? So once we do some yoga and stretches, I guarantee you that you will feel so much better and so much able to focus in the here and the now. Before we move on with the video, let me know what you think about this video so far in the comments below, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Let's go right back. Speaking of things we do repeatedly and frequently throughout our life, breathing is another very important aspect of our mental health. Our quality of breathing impacts our irritability and our personality massively. And this is what I mean, right? So when we're constantly breathing very fast and heavy, our body is interpreting that as us being in danger or in some kind of physical harm. So in order to compensate for it, our body is constantly looking out for stimulants in the environment to try and see what is creating that trauma. So our body's response is automatically that of irritation and alertness, being on edge. So what can we do to control that? Well, there are a lot of breathing techniques out there that can help us feel better and breathe better. So both our physical and mental health is the way we would like for it to be, right? And some of the breathing techniques are very easy and you can do it wherever. You can even do it when you're driving, when you're in classroom, in office, anywhere, right? And one of my favorite is the square breathing technique, where you breathe in for the same amount of time, you hold for the same amount of time, you breathe out for the same amount of time, and you hold again for the same amount of time, where you create a square when you breathe, right? And any breathing technique like that really helps our brain slow down and helps our body regulate its temperature, regulate its irritability, regulate its responses and everything. So making sure that we practice quality breathing techniques is very, very important if we want to have a good mental health, if we want to have control over ourselves and lose our irritability. Another very, very important aspect of our mental and physical health, especially in the modern times, has been meditation. Meditation has been practiced in the Eastern cultures for hundreds of years, right? But in the Western world, it has recently come to be more accepted and widespread. And what meditation does is it helps us observe our thoughts and dissociate from them so that we are not constantly emotionally distracted and disturbed by all the thoughts that come and go in our mind, and possibly lead us to a point where we can control what thoughts even appear in our mind and what thoughts don't. If practiced properly, meditation can do wonders for both our physical and mental health. And in the modern times, honestly, a lot of people struggle with meditating because it requires for us to sit still and only pay attention to ourselves for an extended period of time. And a lot of people in this era are not able to or even willing to do so, right? One thing that I have found is that meditation does not have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that time consuming either. We can meditate on the go. We can meditate on the go. And what do I mean by that? Well, I have found that combining those breathing techniques with some form of affirmation or a quick prayer can work as a meditative practice. It can help us dissociate from our immediate experience and our thoughts so that we can come back to the moment and pay attention to the here and now. And this is something I do all the time. Whenever I'm in a stressful situation or whenever I'm about to go for an interview, whenever I'm about to go for anything that I need a little bit of calmness and collection and the ability to be in the moment, I go within myself, I take some long, deep breaths and I say my little affirmation to myself and I go do the task I need to do. And me doing this little practice has had one of the most massive impacts in my life. And I guarantee to you guys that any kind of affirmation, any type of thought you would like to have in your mind, all you have to do is throughout your day, whenever you can, just deeply breathe in and say this affirmation, say this thought to yourself a few times, as many times as you possibly can. And do this repeatedly for as long as you can. I guarantee you will see a massive difference in your irritability and your ability to be in control of yourself all the time. Now, if you struggle with meditation and if you struggle even with the quick breathing affirmation meditation that I just talked about, I have something for you. Write your thoughts down. This is something I struggled with forever in my life, right? Because I found it almost unnecessary, this notion of sitting down and writing things down. Because for me, that almost felt like chores, right? However, recently, I noticed that sitting down and writing my thoughts down works in the same way that meditation does. What I mean by that is that meditation will help you clear your thoughts out and observe your thoughts in a dissociated manner. In the same way, writing your thoughts down helps you take these energy from your mind and translate them into this written language, right? And that helps you kind of take out this negative energy or whatever thoughts that you didn't want in your head out of your system and into this paper. And that creates a lot of empty space in your head that you can actually enjoy and that you can use to do what you would like to do for yourself. You know, when you get off the phone with your grandma and you feel this warmth go through your body, you feel the confidence to take over the world? Well, that's something we could use quite frequently, right? So the next thing on my list is making sure you call your loved ones as frequently as you can. Honestly, this is something that helps us be in control and in the moment all the time. This is something that is so easy that can have such a cyclical effect that it's surprising that we don't do it more often. When you call your friends and family, there's this feeling of love and care that you're reminded of. You feel as if you are cared for and you belong in this experience, right? So when we're constantly reminded of this, it helps us stay in the moment. It helps us focus in who we are. It helps us focus in the people we love and the things we love to do. And automatically, that creates a less irritable personality, right? That keeps us happy, that keeps us content, and of course, in control of ourselves. The next two things are gonna be pretty funny, but very important. So make sure you don't go anywhere. All right, the next thing is something, I don't know if you relate to me on this, but I recently found this out and I've been amazed at how much of a difference this makes in your mood and your mental health. And that is lotioning your body. Well, yes, lotion your body. Recently I found out that when I lotion my body, I feel so warm and cuddly and just empathetic, right? I'm not like burning up and on edge and irritable, like physically. So whenever like I get out of the shower and I put some lotion on my body, I feel really warm and nice and ready to go out and do the things that I need to do, right? Because I noticed that, dry skin creates a lot of irritability. And that feeling of your clothes touching your dry skin is so irritable that it's bound to keep you on edge. So definitely try it out if you already don't do it. I know most of my female friends, my wife, do it regularly and they've been doing it regularly. I finally started doing it regularly too, which makes me pretty happy and proud. But if you guys don't do that, make sure you do it, okay? Because this is like a life changer. Very small change, but creates so much difference. And the next thing, the last thing, and definitely not the least important thing I want to talk to you guys about is wear something that makes you happy and confident. Recently, I had a chance to work in the fashion industry, right? And one thing I noticed is when working in the fashion industry, I was starting to dress up accordingly, right? So the level of confidence I had drastically increased when I dressed nice and when I dressed in a way that I wanted to present myself, when I dressed in a way that I felt like people respected me for. And that just changed so much about myself and so much about what I thought about this world, right? Any day that I wear something that makes me feel confident and ready to take over this world, I feel like nothing can stop me. Anytime I pass a mirror, I look at myself and I'm like, okay, I got this, right? But let's say I'm wearing sweatpants all day, going everywhere to the mall and everything. Then when I walk past a mirror, I'm probably gonna try to avoid looking at myself, right? So I do not want to do that for myself, because I do not want to be in that state where I'm avoiding looking at myself because I'm not confident about how I look. Because that's not a state I would like to be in, right? So if I want to feel happy and in control and confident to go out and achieve the things I want to achieve in my life, I wear what I want to present myself as. So to sum it all up, quality sleep, good food, vitamins, calling people you love, stretching, meditating, writing your thoughts down, putting some good clothes on, and putting your lotion on. Did I miss anything? Well guys, thank you for watching my video. I hope I answered the 2 questions that I was set out to answer. Why do we feel irritated at times, and how do we stop? Make sure you like this video, leave a comment about what you think and what you'd like to see in my future videos. Share this video with someone that you think is gonna find value in this content, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, A World Within, here on YouTube. This has been Bipin. Thank you so much, and until the next time, namaste and goodbye.